Welcome to Just Talk Funerals with me, Jason Threadgold.
And me, Nichola Threadgold.
Just Talk Funerals is all about the funeral industry, the people that work alongside us, and an insight into what we do.
We will have some special guests along the way, sharing their experiences and how their professions overlap with what we do.
So get yourselves comfy, grab yourselves a cuppa, and let's get into today's episode of
Just Talk Funerals.
So, we're going to talk a little bit about culture today and the people that work alongside us within our business. So, with me here today is Nichola. Nichola, I know culture is a big thing to you. I know it's something that you strive for in our business. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I guess, without a culture, we realise we've got nothing. We started 11 years ago, didn't we, in business, and it was just the two of us. And I guess in those days it was really easy because we knew what each other needed and required within the business, and that was easy. Then as the business starts to grow and you start to take on more people, it becomes more interesting but also more challenging. Different characteristics of people, obviously looking at the type of roles that we're giving to our people. It becomes more challenging but also more fun, because as the business grows, we definitely need more people.
So what do you think is the main difference? I know we've talked about as numbers increase within the business, is it more so that when you're recruiting, you need to look for a person with a sort of ideal set of skills, or is it something where you need a set of skills and somebody that fits in with everybody else that's working within the team already?
And I think this is where we've thought long and hard about our culture and how we recruit people. We would always never look at anybody in terms of skills and what their qualifications are. I think we've always got in the back of our minds we need to give people a fair chance, whoever they are. And sometimes, we don't just look at CVs, do we? We don't look at that until the final stages of our recruitment process. It's just important that we get people to answer a couple of questions that we put on a telephone line to gauge why they want to work for us and what they can bring to the team. But all in all, it's about their compassion and their character more than it is about skills. And as we often talk about, skills and qualifications, we don't need those, because whatever we need them to do within Jason Threadgold Funeral Director, we can teach that. You can't teach character, can you?
No, and I agree. And I must admit, everybody that started with us, very few people have already worked within the industry.
Yeah.
We tend to take people that have no knowledge or little knowledge, or they've had a sort of a crossover in some way with a funeral of some sort, and it's drawn them to us.
Yeah.
I think you'll probably agree, we tend to bring along people that want to give back to the community.
Yeah.
They feel like they've maybe been on a journey themselves and there's something they feel they can give to the community.
Yeah.
I can't think for 1 minute there's anybody that works for us where it's just a job role. Nobody calls it a job.
No, definitely not. And I think that's important. This is a career. It can be long hours, lots of dedication, customer service is key. So, it's definitely not a job. There are times when you've got to be extremely patient with people. We deal with different demographics of people, different relationships of, in people. So, there's a lot to take into account, and that's sometimes not done just as a 9-to-5 job, is it?
No. And with you mentioning that, a lot of people will probably know this, but for those that don't, we work 24 hours a day.
Mm.
So when we say we work 24 hours a day, sometimes we physically work 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And that means us being called to all sorts of things.
Yeah.
We work alongside the coroner's office. We're sometimes called to road traffic collisions, sudden deaths in the community, and obviously care homes and private homes as well.
Yeah.
And the team, when they get called to these things, it is a rapid response a lot of the time. So they're expected to be there with a certain amount of time. How do you think, from your side of things, how do you think the team that get called out deal with that lack of sleep on occasions or break in sleep? Because they may have done a full day's work already, maybe finished at 6, 7 o'clock at night, and then they get called out during the night. What do you think they're thinking at the point where they get called out during the night?
I think because, we've trained them and we're always very open and transparent with the team into when they're new with us and, how we work, they understand that process and they understand it's part of their role. I think, they're very passionate about what they're doing. And if you wasn't, then you shouldn't be in these roles. It's crucial that you are passionate and you understand when that phone rings, whether it's the police or it's a family member, we need to be there as soon as possible to help and to bring that person back into our care. It's just part of the role. And, like I say, it's the dedication of our team, and that's what shines out with our team. They're all just fabulous, aren't they?
Yeah, and I guess people would maybe think because of what we do, everybody's really down and really morbid all the time. How can you put it across to the people that are listening and watching in on this, how people actually are on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, and like I've touched on, they are very special, each one, and they're all very much individuals within our team. But, never at the detriment of anybody that's passed away or anybody that dealing with. But as humans, we all have to have some sort of release. We're extremely close as a team, to much that, we are the JTF family. And that is very special in lots of ways. And, you can sometimes have a really down day, maybe where there's been a phone call and sadly somebody's lost a child. And, we feel that. Sorry, I could get quite emotional.
No, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
We can feel that, can't we, within the team. And, we all rally around each other, to make sure that everybody is okay. And we have a bit of a group WhatsApp goes on, and I know at night times there's times when I know the team have been messaging each other if somebody's had a bit more of a difficult day. I know there's others in the team are messaging to make sure they're okay. And I think that also brings us into, when we're interviewing for people, we always ask what support has that person got at home, because it's so important that when they do go home and it's been a challenging day or quite a heavy day, that there is somebody else at home that's there to listen to them and to understand a little bit of what, maybe that day has been about.
Yeah, and I guess the public's perception of a funeral director, when you look at it like that, is they have to be hardened to it and they shouldn't have emotion. They can't have emotion. They've got to be really tough and then not show emotion to the families that they're dealing with. But we're all normal people at the end of the day, aren't we? So we're going to get emotional. Yeah. We're not going to necessarily show that in front of the people that we're there to serve.
No.
But we do need to talk about things. We need a release somewhere. And I think the whole team that work alongside us, including all the driver bearers as well, the administrators, there's touch points there for all of them where they're getting involved with these families. And they're all forward facing, so it's not like anybody's hidden in the background. Everybody that works alongside us is actually dealing with these families on a day-to-day basis, but we're still normal people.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting when you say, do we get hardened to it? And that's been a question that's probably been asked quite a few times to me, and I'm sure it has you. And I remember sort of years ago when I started working at the crematorium, and it being quite a new sort of role for me within the funeral industry, and wondering actually, would I get hardened to this and would it turn me into a different sort of person? But no, it doesn't. Like you say, there are some instances where, families come in and, you do sort of connect with them a little bit, and you've got to be really careful that you do stay professional, but it resonates with you for, whether it's the rest of that day or a few days after, even a few weeks sometimes, because, we are human and we do feel that.
And a lot of the people that we're serving are people that we know personally.
Yeah.
We've grown up with these people. It's probably a lot at the minute is probably people that are our parents' age that are passing away. Yeah. So these are people that we physically know, and everybody in the team, we have a massive range of people when it comes to age. Yeah. I mean, we've got people from 19 all the way up to into the mid-70s. Yeah. And they've had so many touch points with people around the locality that it's very rare that we have somebody come to us that there's not one person that doesn't know them or is connected to them in some way in the industry and the company, is there?
Yeah, definitely. And I also think, it's always amazing when, different families come in, obviously to either see their loved ones or to make contact with us because somebody's passed away, and how quickly we can sort of help to have a bond with them and to have that relationship where they trust us, and, we can talk to them. And sometimes there's got to be some really honest conversations with people around a loved one. And the trust that sort of grows with them sort of meeting us and speaking to us. And again, that's so special, isn't it? And, we meet these people and, like you said, there are some people we've never met before, and we go on this journey with them. And sadly, they talk about their loved one, and we've never met them, but some of the stories are just amazing, aren't they? What we talk about, and we can have a little bit of a laugh with them, and sometimes they're very sad. But we're in such a privileged position. It is just lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, and a lot of what we do, obviously, we're funeral directors, so we carry out funerals, but a lot of that is about celebrating somebody's life.
Yeah.
It's not all about talking about the doom and the gloom all the time. You've got to really think about what that person was and what they've done in their life. There was so many uplifting stories. And when you start talking to people about what somebody's done in the past, we might come from a small steel town in the northeast. But I tell you what, there's a lot of people doing a lot of things outside of Scunthorpe especially that we don't know about. And it's surprising when people start telling us these stories.
Yeah, definitely. And, when you start to look at some of the people that have passed through our funeral homes and, I can remember the milk tray man. That was
crazy. Yeah. I mean, what do you think about that when you think he was a humble man living in a property just outside another town? I'm not going to go into GDPR and all things like that. But yeah, the milk tray man. Who'd have thought that a little funeral directors in the northeast are going to end up doing a funeral service for the milk tray man? It's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, there's so many tales and stories, and I guess we could maybe cover them in other episodes of what we're doing. But yeah, it's just such an amazing insight, isn't it? And as I say, we're extremely privileged, as are the team, in what we do.
Yeah, we are in that position where there's lots of things we see, lots of things we get involved in that nobody else would ever get involved. And it does take a certain kind of person. We've touched on that with the people that work alongside us. Not everybody can take on the role within a funeral profession because it's not right for them. And I have so many people say to me, well, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
And, I know they're saying it with the right reasoning, but I do it because I love it. I don't do it because I have to do it.
No.
Everyone's got choices. I chose to do this 31 years ago, and I absolutely love it. So I've never felt like this is a chore. I'm being forced into doing something. And everyone that works with us, they buy into that and they understand that. And nobody's being forced to come and work for us and with us. They all choose to do it because they know, and it's that big thing, giving back to the community. And you touched on a word that I'm going to come back to, actually, and that was the word honesty. Honesty, I think, is the key word when it comes to the funeral industry, because if you're not being honest, if you're not having them conversations, then you're just hiding things away. We like to be open about things. I know we all do. We'd rather get things out in the open, and then we can gauge what needs to be done and what needs to be said. By not being honest, when you're trying to do the last thing that you can do for somebody whilst they're on this earth, then I think you're taking the wrong attitude towards it. So honesty, I believe we are up there. That's definitely one of our criteria that we need to have these conversations. And honesty can be flipped into lots of different things. We won't hide the facts from people. Somebody asks us a question, you're going to get an honest answer.
Yeah.
Some you will find probably skirt around things, and it's that word taboo.
Yeah.
In our industry, I mean, there's people that will try and hide things from you that they think they're doing the right thing for you and that they think they're protecting you, but it is so much better to just tell it as it is. And I just think that's how it should be. Sorry, I know I've gone off on a bit of a tangent there, but it was just that word that kind of resonated with me a bit there.
Yeah. But don't you think that's what we do sometimes? We go off on a tangent, we start with one topic and it soon evolves into something else because, there is so much to say about certain aspects of what we do.
Yeah, and I think if anybody's sat with me when we're arranging a funeral, it's not all about the funeral. We can go off and talk about all sorts of things.
Yeah.
You'll know probably there's other things in the past professions that I had before I came into this industry. People still know me from that, and that was 31 years ago. And I do get reminded of things like that. But anyway, sorry, gone off on a tangent. Skip back to the team.
Yeah.
So what do you think the driver bearers that work alongside us, I mean, they are such a diverse mix of people.
Yeah.
They've had lots of different careers. They're very different in age and height, some of them.
Yeah.
How do you think they all get on? And what do you think is their key driver in this industry?
Oh, gosh, now that's a question. I guess for us, obviously the way we employ driver bearers, we recently had a recruitment campaign for driver bearers, which we put on Facebook, didn't we? And got some amazing responses. And obviously we still go down the interview route. It's still important that anybody that's coming to work for us is who we can trust, who we know can do the role, bringing in DBS checks and things like that now, just to make sure that everything we're doing is safe, transparent, and, like you say, honest. And I guess, when we started 11 years ago, don't you think, our picture and image of a driver bearer was somebody that had retired, and obviously probably done a lot of jobs in the past, but now just wanted a job where they could come in, do a little bit of work, and maybe socially be around other people. But I think those dynamics have now changed. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I think it was typically seen as gender specific.
Yeah.
It tended to be that sort of middle-aged to retired gentleman, if you want to call them that, that would take on these roles. But now it's so diverse.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you've got lots of people coming in for lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
We've got some youngsters within the team. Some of the ladies get involved in that side of things as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think, I know it's not like that anymore.
No.
Victorian tendencies, they've gone out the window.
Yeah.
Now it's open to all, and we encourage that.
Yeah.
And I like the mix of people that we've got
definitely
working alongside us.
But I think that also brings into the fact that, the team that we have, whether they're the driver bearers or the core team as well, is that we try to develop them so that they're multi-skilled, so some of the admin team can drive, they all have their driving lessons when they first start with us, so they've all learnt to drive the limousines, the estate cars, and even the hearse, because there are times when all of a sudden somebody has to drop into another role, and that gives them a wide range of things that they can do within the business. It can also identify sometimes that they maybe want to do more of that sort of skill, and then we can sort of look at that. Having variety in their roles is the spice of life, isn't it? That keeps them wanting to come to work because it's variety for them. But sometimes can be quite funny, can't it, when we finish at the end of the day and we're reflecting to find that somebody's dropped into a different role that they wouldn't necessarily have done, but they've enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I'll take you to one of them roles, actually. So I know you know about this already, but for the listeners out there, one of the young female members of the team, she, at very short notice, because much as we're a proactive company, we sort of plan everything out, don't we?
Yeah.
We've got to be reactive, and things change minute by minute.
Yeah.
And it was the fact that she'd gone from one moment typing up a list of people that had attended a funeral to all of a sudden you're coming out on this funeral service and you're driving the hearse.
Yeah.
And she didn't bat an eyelid.
No.
It was just, she knew that's what she was there for.
Yeah.
She knew she was needed.
Yeah.
And that was the only way we were going to be able to deal with that scenario, because something else had cropped up at the side that we were expecting coming.
Yeah. And I think, that particular member of the team gave us so much more confidence as well, to jump into something else and to realise that, she didn't have time to think about it, to understand that, she can do something else, that's very different. And And I mean, I secretly do like it when things like that happen and they are pushed into other areas that they maybe necessarily wouldn't have done. You know, I mean, obviously there's the risks and obviously making sure rules and everything else is correct. But, you know, why shouldn't they be diverse? Why shouldn't they be allowed to try other things in the business? It's what keeps the business healthy. And I think that's, again, what we've got and I'm extremely proud of.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. So I think, Nichola, for today, I think we'll wrap that up for today. Thank you for taking my conversation with you, and for everybody out there that's listening and watching. Have a great day. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Just Talk Funerals.
We really care about what you think. We'd love your feedback on the subjects raised today, or maybe you have a question you would like us to talk about in a future episode. You can contact us by emailing podcast@threadgoldfunerals.com.
If you'd like to know more about what we do and the services we offer, then please head to jasonthreadgoldfuneraldirector.com. Thank you for joining us today, and see you next time.